To start, could you tell me about your career path? How did you get to where you are at Kinetics today?
Yeah, well, I started out studying engineering, and then I got a finance MBA, and I got recruited to work for Exxon in their leadership development program. Pretty early on in my career, I set a vision for myself to become a global CFO of a multinational engineering or construction company. So I wrote down a 15-year plan. I had a great career with Chevron for almost 15 years. Managed to do about $4 billion in financing and $2 billion of acquisitions. Had the opportunity to live in Buenos Aires and be controller for Chevron Argentina, and eventually had the opportunity to become CFO about 7 years ago.
So research suggests men and women have different qualities when it comes to leadership. What do you think about that, and what's your experience been with gender equality in the workplace?
I've given this a lot of thought. I find that my leadership style is both hard and soft. Maybe hard being what we think of more the masculine traits, and soft where we generally associate with more feminine qualities. By hard, I mean hard data and facts and analysis. My background is in engineering and finance. I love data and I love numbers, and I find that helps communicate and get people aligned, because we get data and it becomes a rational conversation rather than looking at people's biases or preconceived notions. When forming our strategy, for example, building our 5-year strategy for Kinetics, we did a lot of data analysis to understand what our core strengths were. We looked at over 600 projects over the last 3 years and looked at the correlation between our profitability and our geography or sectors or customers to try to understand what kind of projects we tend to have our strongest performance. And the data showed we were very strong in pharmaceuticals, very strong in microelectronics, strong in renewables, and strong in research facilities. So that helped form the conversation because we used the hard data. But on the other side, I think I, like a lot of women, also believe in soft skills, communicating a shared vision, trying to get alignment, sort of facilitative leadership style instead of a more top-down approach.
So has it been your experience, though, that most people have the ability to do both of those? Or is that a unique skill maybe you bring to the table?
I find that it's unusual to find that skill set in that duality in most people. Great leaders tend to have it, to be able to understand the big picture, the strategy, but also the details and the facts, but also have the ability to communicate and share and motivate. Yeah, it's unusual to find it, that combination of skill sets in one person.
So what advice would you give other women desiring to be in executive level positions?
Well, I think there's 3 key success factors. One is a good education, 2 is great performance, and 3 is high visibility. And the advice would be the same for men or women. I think you'd say get a good education and then work hard and perform and deliver results. Where I think it becomes a little different is on the visibility piece. I'd certainly advise anyone who wants to be an executive and a leader to look for visibility. It's not good enough to have great performance if nobody sees it. But for women, it can be a little bit different and more challenging. Women tend to be a little bit more reluctant to speak up and to stand out. And even though sometimes they get more visibility, if they're a minority in an industry where there's not a lot of women, or in executive positions where there's not a lot of ladies, they might be more visible, but not necessarily in a proactive way that helps their careers. So that's where I think the advice might be slightly different to women, is to go out and seek opportunities and to be in industry events, mentoring, networking groups.
So you've clearly moved up the ladder, Suzy. What goals do you still have for yourself that you want to achieve?
Well, I may put a small plug for Kinetics, if I may. I'm very proud to be a part of this company. And we've achieved a great deal. This company we're celebrating our 45-year anniversary this year. We've had an excellent safety record, and we're known and have a great reputation for high quality and high integrity work. What I'd like to do is build on that. We've developed a strategy and a vision for the next 5 years. Our goal is to double our top line in the next 5 years and significantly grow our profitability in the bottom line.
Any goals outside of Kinetics? Want to be president or CEO of a company?
Sure, happy to take it on. Bring it on, like a new challenge.
So we're also interested in getting to know you as a person. What are some of the things you like to do in your free time?
Anything that gets me out of the office. I'm inside a lot of the time, in the office a lot of the time, and I love working. But any chance I get to go outside, doing something active, especially with my family, if it's hiking or skiing or camping or biking or rafting or canoeing, anything that gets me outside being active, I'm all in. Love that.
So what books are you currently reading? Books or blogs are you currently reading right now?
I love reading. It's how I decompress at the end of the day. I love reading biographies. Biographies are my favorite. The very first one I read, I was in elementary school, was the biography of Marie Curie, the famous scientist. And that's where I got the inspiration that I wanted to be a scientist or an engineer. Since then I've read hundreds of biographies. Most recently I read 4 that I really liked. Was very impressed with. Richard Branson, Elon Musk, Abraham Lincoln, and Angela Merkel. I love reading about leaders because you see their stories and how they got where they got. And reality is always stranger than fiction, so I find them really, really interesting. What fascinated me about Richard Branson was I read about a lot of famous, successful people, and he's clearly financially and professionally very successful. But he's also a very happy guy personally. I was really impressed with how he managed that in his life. Elon Musk I was really impressed with because, like a lot of great leaders, he has incredible vision, very long-range, audacious vision, and he seems to have the tenacity and creativity to make them happen. And I read a book, Team of Rivals, about Abraham Lincoln, and what fascinated me is I had not appreciated how many setbacks he had in his life. I think what we don't realize about great leaders is we usually focus on their successes and achievements, but they usually had a lot of failures and a lot of struggles. And he clearly had a lot of those.
Well, thank you very much for your time today, Suzy. It's been a pleasure chatting with you, and look forward to seeing how your career and life unfolds.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you so much.
Thank you.